stage, the better he is. Brothers are going to triumph, and what a triumph it is. The sweet sound of the
How good is that?
It's very good, Sam. Very good.
Pretty happy with my own work there. Hello again. Welcome back to the Don Pod. Sam and Nath at it again. How are you, Nathan?
I'm feeling very excited, Sam. Footy's back. We had a game last night, game tonight. Our boys play on Saturday, so, PU up.
PU umped.
Yep.
Apologies to the listeners there if Nathan's voice was rather deafening. That was my fault. I forgot to turn it back down because the intro was a bit quiet, so that's
good.
on
We
me.
want that enthusiasm. Want that enthusiasm to come through, Sam. I like it.
That one's on me. We are back for our first official match preview. We haven't done a preview yet this year. We've only been doing reviews. And yeah, we're excited. We got the Cats on Saturday afternoon, 2:10. How good?
At
At the MCG, sorry. If you're listening to us to work that bit out, you're probably in trouble.
Oh, we're all about the excitement, the pump up, what's going on. We're excited.
I want to address one little thing first. I have access to a soundboard now, so I make a commitment to use it sparingly and not annoy every single person out there with it, but be warned. All right. The Cats, as I said. Now, we have not beaten them since 2018. Our last win against the Cats in 2018 by 34 points. On that day, it might interest you, Sean McKernan kicked 4. Orazio Fantasia kicked 2.
Wow.
And there were singles to Bagley, Connor McKenna, James Stewart, Guelphy, Heppel,
Oh.
Stringer. I don't know if I said one of those twice. Anyway, very different team. Very different team. The last 3 times we played them, we have lost by an average of 46 points.
Sam,
2018 was
they're not
the last win, as I said. 2017 we did beat them as well. That's our last 5 against them. So, yeah, a bit to play for.
Well,
against-
it's the first round. Let's hope that the thing that does concern me. We don't have a great history of first rounds the last few years, do we? Like, I think to the Hawthorn game last year, and I think there was
oh God, I've forgotten about that.
the game the year before too. We started really poor. Was that against GWS or something like that?
Yeah, GWS is bad 10.
We were just so horrible.
But the Cats did lose to Adelaide in round 1 last year.
Okay, are they
so
bad
there's
starters
a
too, then?
little argument for us there. I don't mean to start on a negative. My point about that last win was really more the players that kick goals. That is quite a substantial change in our team in 4 years.
It's fascinating to think how much our team's changed in that regard, isn't it? Like, the guys,
huge change.
Yep.
That was what, 2 years? Well, the second season after the saga.
Yep.
Worsfold, and now I would say we're a much better side, but we'll see how we go.
Yep.
In terms of team selection, pretty much as expected. We were just having a look at our best 22, and we've got 3 wrong, 2 of which are injured, one of which is under an injury cloud, so we'll take that.
Yep.
Club debut for Jake Kelly, and AFL debuts for Nick Martin and the other guy, Kane Baldwin.
The other guy.
Sorry, Kane.
Let's cut
If
it
you're
out for the
listening.
boys.
Yeah, very good. Very nice video on the Don's Facebook page.
Yeah.
Those 2 getting announced.
I love seeing you young players come through, Sam, especially with talented like Martin and Baldwin have basically played a game and a half for us, and I'm very excited for what I've seen in the pre-season. I know Baldwin's been at the club a bit longer. He's put in the hard yards after his 2 knee reconstructions. Been there training most of last year, so very excited for him.
Yes, very, and I think if you're a long-time listener, we've only been in existence for about 8 months, but long-time listeners will know I do love a good forward, and Kane Baldwin is probably as old-fashioned a forward as you'll get, so that's quite exciting.
Yep.
And very excited for Nick Martin. I think from what we've seen in the pre-season stuff, he looks every bit the AFL footballer.
He probably on the preseason form, he probably should kick 3 goals and have about 25 touches in his game.
Should do.
Really?
No pressure,
Yeah,
kid.
no pressure.
No pressure, kid. Now, some other things here. No Stringer, obviously injured. Snelling injured. Francis is listed as an emergency, but was under a bit of a cloud, so we're not sure.
Yep.
There. Interestingly, 4 of our top 5 goal scorers from last year are out. So in order, Stringer, Waller, Hooker, Wright and Jones. So we've got number 4 in that
we've
list
got
of
Wright.
goal kickers. Which
That's very interesting, that sort of information, Sam. So that, it puts a lot of pressure on the guys like Martin, who's playing his first game, who is a bit of a goal kicker. It puts pressure. Yeah. Martin, and Baldwin. Yeah, you're right. It's funny, I see this Martin as a guy. Anyway, I'm a bit of a fan. He could kick 3. I'm going to say it.
We do like him, don't we?
Oh, very excited.
We watched 2 of the 3 pre-seasons together, so we were getting quite keen for him. Other than that, there's no real shocks in that side. So Jai Caldwell plays. That's not surprising, but he's essentially coming back from injury. Shield plays, was the other one under a bit of a cloud.
Shield named on a half forward flank. Is that just how they name things these days, or?
Yeah, I don't know. I don't read too much into players within their group of 6. So if a backman's named at centre half back, I don't read into that. But given he's named in the forward group, you'd think he starts forward. I
guess what I was going to say though, with Kane, with Kane Baldwin at centre half forward and Peter Wright named at full forward, and Smith, Ham, Shield and Perkins as the other forwards, it's a different look than what we were sort of thinking.
Very different. Yeah. Very different. And the other surprise there is Braden Ham gets a game in the forward pocket, and Guelphy on the bench. Guelphy was actually quite good against St Kilda, so that's well earned. I
agree. I think that they've earned that spot to play there. They've both harassed, tackled, and pressured like we need a small forward. And at the moment, we're short of small.
We're short of small now.
We're short of small.
It hasn't got quite the same ring to it as short of tall.
No, it's not as tall. I do like short of tall. It's one of my favourites.
It's our favourite saying. Emergencies, Cutler, Phillips, Hobbs and Francis. We are jumping to conclusions here that Cutler will be the medical sub. He's a bit of a utility, can play sort of anywhere.
He makes a pretty good sort of play anywhere kind of player, really. Like he forward, back, all that sort of stuff. He can do it.
Yep. So that's our boys who play this grand old game. Now you are the opposition specialist, so I'm going to let you talk about Geelong, please.
Well, not much about Geelong. We know they knocked out in the prelim last year by the Melbourne Demons. Phew.
Maxi gone 5 straight. Yep. I
did have a quick squeeze at that team from that game to this game, and the main ones that stood out. There's probably a couple other smaller players, but Menengola is out for them. Lockie Henderson retired, and De Koning's come in for I think his second game, and Mitch Duncan is out for them. So there's a few other new player Tyson Stengel, who's used to play at Adelaide, then played a bit in SA. He looks like he's replacing what's his name, Gary Rowan, who's injured, but probably really after his last few finals
too much.
It shouldn't hurt them. He's not a final, so I guess he won't play horribly.
He's actually the kind of guy that I hate playing against. So
yeah. It's a bit like that Wakeman. They're the guys that pop up against us, and no, not as bad.
Don't get me started on Wakeman. Sorry, I was just taking a drink of water and you nearly made me lose it.
Sorry. So look, they're a good side. Let's be honest. We have them somewhere around 5 to 8 in the. I don't think they can push. Seriously, I don't think they can push Melbourne, Brisbane, possibly the Dogs, and I think Richmond will be somewhere around that mark too. But they're still a good side. I mean, they're Dangerfield, Selwood, Hawkins, Cameron, Stewart, Zach Tui, Cam Guthrie. Like, they're old, but they're still a dangerous list to beat.
Yes, well, that's actually a good segue into
that's what we do best here.
What we're going to talk about now, which is the actual game. I guess just how we see it playing out. We do have this bit of a bias against Geelong, in that we have predicted their downfall, as I'm sure many others have, for quite a few years, and it doesn't happen. So credit to them; they're obviously doing something right. I still can't see how that list wins a flag for one, definitely not. 2 is pushing top 4. So I think you're right in your 5 to 8 sort of chat. And we were talking about this the other day in that the key games for us this year, we do have a rough draw.
Yep.
The key games for us are going to be against those teams around us, and Geelong is definitely one of them. So, I'm getting to a point here, I promise. Regardless of what we think, you're right. Geelong are old. I don't think there's any denying that. And they're going to struggle against quicker teams. So, we beat them with that speed.
Well, you're right. And we know that we've got this tough draw to start with them and then Brisbane and Melbourne. So I guess we're thinking, and I'm sure other Essendon people are thinking, that Geelong is probably the easier team to beat out of those 3.
Out of the 3, absolutely.
Out of the 3. Like Melbourne, after last night, they're going to be unreal. I still think Brisbane have got a lot of quality players. Geelong are the ones that I think at the end of the year, I reckon my prediction, this is just my prediction, is that they might come, say, 6th or 7th, and we might become 8th, 9th, 10th, somewhere around there. There might be 2 or 3 games separating us. So there's someone I reckon we'll be battling with, personally.
Yep, absolutely.
But we've been saying that about Geelong for a long time, and they still get like 2nd on the ladder at the end of the year. So I could be wrong this year again.
It is literal rinse and repeat. And I could have word for word said this last year. If we had a podcast, you'd be able to go and find it.
Yep.
It's impossible. They can't. With a list at that age, surely they can't, one, stay fit.
No.
32, 33-year-olds' bodies don't stay fit for 22 games, apart from Hawkins, as we found out.
Oh, yeah, he doesn't miss many games. Well, I think there's 2 factors. I think it's the style of football they play as well. They play a very slow style, and they may have tried to work on that in the pre-season, which works well at their home ground because it's a narrower ground, so they can move it around the way they do. But when you get to the wide open spaces of the MCG and Wacker and different sort of the West Australian grounds and stuff like that, that style usually it gets found out. And that's often the problem with them in finals, is that the style of football being played in finals doesn't work for them. And I also think that by the end of the year, their older bodies are starting to just fade a little bit more than the younger sort of Bulls like at Melbourne and Port and Brisbane and those sort of guys where they, fit midfields.
Well, you compare them to
mid-20s.
Melbourne, Melbourne's best players are 24 to 26-ish. That's a guess. But your Olivers and Petrarcas, Gorn's probably a little bit older. Jackson's a kid.
Yeah.
So,
and even Viney wouldn't be much older. And then you got their wingers like Hunt and those sort of guys. They're all relatively, I think
they're
you're
not 32.
No, you're right. They're in their mid-20s at a guess without knowing exact data. But
probably mid to late,
Whereas we know with Geelong, like Selwood's named on the ball, and he's 34, is he? Or 33? Like Dangerfield's 30, 31, Hawkins 34-ish, Cameron's maybe 29. And Cam Guthrie, I think, is the youngest in that sort of brigade, and I reckon he's 29. Smith would be 33.
Yeah, well, Cam Guthrie's 29, as you say.
Yeah, so they brought in a bit of youth. Sam De Koning I think he's in his second year, so he might be 20-ish. And Stengel, he wouldn't be, I reckon he'd be early 20s, 22, something like that.
But by and large, they're top heavy, and they are the oldest team in the comp yet again. They literally, there was a list I saw on Facebook or somewhere doing the rounds, and it was no surprise that Geelong, we're fourth youngest, I think.
Yeah, so how do we beat them, I guess?
Pretty encouraging.
Besides we can't lull them into a nap and, and a biscuit and some milk and then run all over them.
Well, I think we kick more goals than them, we'll win. No. I think we
analogy. Sorry.
Thanks. I don't like this segment because we say the same thing every time, just about. But it is about ball use for one, and not Essendon, but last night with the Dogs and the D's, when the Dogs got back on top, they used the ball well. They reverted back to that kicking game, kick, and were able to pick a way through Melbourne's attack, and actually were able to score. That was the one time in that game they looked decent.
Yep.
For us, there's one major issue. There's probably several, but there's one major issue in Tom Stewart. He is no hack. He's a very good defender. And again, reverting back to our forward line not necessarily being as strong as it could be, we're going to have to be smart. We can't bomb. Even though I know
No.
we will, we can't bomb.
Well, you're right. Tom Stewart plus Blitzscarves and Jack Henry, like they're all, and that De Koning and
He's a big boy.
I watched the bit of the Suns game in the practice game, and he took quite a few good marks. So you're right. We have to be really smart about our use into the forward line. And I think going the opposite way, like we're going to have some really hard matchups with Cameron. Like who plays on Cameron?
Now, you know I'm notoriously shocking with height.
Cameron's very tall.
But you'd say Stewart to Hawkins, Laverde to Cameron, or maybe Ridley to Cameron.
Stewart to Hawkins, what was this? Ridley to Cameron?
Ridley or Laverde.
The problem with that, though, is, but we want to free up Ridley to be that.
Well, we do, but I think that's the best matchup.
Does Laverde go to Cameron?
It could do.
What about Radicalia then?
Radicalia
becomes a bit of a threat to us. I don't know who plays on him. I think this is going to be an issue with us personally. I think this is going to be an issue with us throughout the year. Is that teams like Richmond who are playing tonight that going in with quite 3 talls, maybe even 4. It's going to be hard for us because Stewart's genuinely tall. Laverde, I'd put in that, was he 192, 3 sort of category, somewhere around there?
Keep talking, I'll fact check.
Yep. And then Ridley is tall, but we don't want him playing on talls. I guess we want him to be the loose. We want him to be playing almost on a medium-sized player that he can come off in opposition and take marks.
So Lav is 193.
Yeah.
And I would say Ridley is 195. So Ridley's a little bit taller. We have sort of done this a little bit because we spend a lot of time talking about football. That's why we decided to.
We're very big on players.
That's why we decided to hit record on them. And we spend a lot of time Googling heights. And we've learned we have a lot of players in a 192 to 194 sort of bracket.
Probably go 190 to 194 just to be.
A bit more precise because
you've left just 193.
Well, it could be 192 or 194.
Okay, sorry.
It's a 3 centimetre gap, please.
Yep.
I think for memory, Baldwin, Stringer, the bloke we're just talking about, Laverde.
Yeah.
Langford may have been in
Ridley
that.
probably would be.
No, but Ridley's 195. We just established that.
Oh, okay, sorry. What about? No,
and maybe Francis as well was that.
Yeah, Frank is around that height too.
There's a lot around that, but not many around that 2 metre mark, apart from Peter. But
and
your
the one
argument,
is Reed.
Well, Reed's massive. He's huge. Can't really factor him in just yet.
No.
Your argument about Richmond and having... Are you okay?
Yep.
Sorry. Nathan just hurt himself.
Okay.
The argument about Richmond and having all those tools. For everything like that, there's a trade-off. And that trade-off is when the ball hits the ground.
Of course.
Now, yes, you're going to get some taller players that are good below their knees, but at 200 centimetres, I don't think there would be an awful lot of them.
No, but with Richmond again, we're talking about the wrong club, obviously.
We've done that a bit tonight.
We've gone a bit on tangent. Richmond have got a great pressure small midfield that.
Correct. So
back to Geelong,
us or back. Yes.
There's going to be a lot of pressure, for us to deal with the tools, get the ball to the ground, and get it out of there. With guys like Hind and Heppel carrying the ball, and McGrath, and possibly Zach Merritt, who's been talked about as playing more of a half-back role, which I think is a great option. Well, I don't think he's going to line up as a half-backer, but he's going to be a midfielder who maybe goes more defensive because of his kicking skills. So we're looking for those guys who can get the ball out, split oppositions apart by foot, and then get over the back, kick goals. Simple sort of strategy.
And I think we might just see the real value of Jake Kelly pretty quickly because he's adaptable between smalls and talls, so we might be able to try a few different things there.
Yeah.
In terms of like other areas, ruck, I would be surprised if Draper doesn't dominate. He should dominate.
He should go very well against Stanley. Yeah.
Well, he should go well. So I shouldn't say dominate.
Yeah,
he should win that battle.
Yep.
But we saw it against the Dogs a little bit in that. Just because you're winning the taps doesn't mean you're necessarily getting clearances.
Yeah, that's right.
Translating that into clearances will be a big thing. In what is still a pretty handy midfield for Geelong. I mean, Dangerfield, Selwood are named on the ball. Cam Guthrie, again, no hack at all.
Yeah. Smith, he's 106, but still can play the game.
Smith, pretty handy winger.
Yep.
So It's really hard because we've got no form. We've got no real form to
No,
judge
no,
us
it's not.
on. Because if you want to judge on form, Geelong just lost to Gold Coast. We've beaten the Bulldogs and lost to St Kilda. Minor quibble.
Yeah.
But you can't use that. So
No. We're
Alright.
just like, are we just praying to God that the good Essendon rolls out?
well, if you're not getting up for round one, and if you're not really up and
Yeah.
about, and that's I guess the positive. Geelong can't really get up and about because they all got to get out of their nursing home to come down. It's a big effort for them.
sledging.
They're old. Yeah, I think that's about it. All we really have to cover for the game side of things. I mean, we're really just hit record and are guessing.
Yeah. I
Aren't we?
mean, this is the toughest one because it's round one. We don't really know what form we're coming into. We've got nothing to talk about. The whole problem is, as you said, preseason is preseason. We don't know if that means something or not.
We
don't
can sit here
know
and pretend because it would
Yeah,
serve
yeah.
our purpose because we would
Yeah.
win on form if you're going to
Yeah.
argue that.
I guess, yeah. So we're just hoping and praying that things go well.
Yes.
Hoping and praying.
Hoping above all hope. Now, I want to move into some socials. Unfortunately, we've only had the one comment. So please, people, if you're listening, get on the Glory and Fame Facebook page. We'll post. We flirted with going live there tonight. We decided against it, but you might hear some stuff in the future.
But we thought with our mums we'll be cooking dinner at this time, so who's going to really be listening?
I'm not sure what to make of that comment. I'm going to move on. Every week we'll put a post up. We want your input. We want to talk to you guys and interact. So, yeah, get among it. Even on the
Yeah.
YouTube page, we'll respond to some comments there as well.
In
So-
terms of you?
Second time contributor here, Nathan with an M, Reynolds,
That's interesting.
as opposed to Nathan U with an N,
Yeah.
ending with an M for
Maybe it's
clarity.
Dick's grandson.
I had no idea where you were going with that for a minute then. I was very scared.
Reynolds, Dick
I know.
Reynolds. I thought it was pretty obvious.
Oh, I got there in the end. Wow. He says, Essendon by 24.
Nice.
I'm going to paraphrase a little bit here. Geelong won't be able to stop our run. Majority of goals through midfielders and defenders pushing forward. Parrish best on ground. Draper and Perkins getting us excited. Talks about Ridley being best defender in the comp will come up. Not might come up, will come up.
Wow.
This was posted before the teams were named for clarity. Would like to see Martin, Tick or Wanganeen at the feet of right, so he's got 1 out of 2 there. Bit optimistic, but hey, first game, and
Support
I'm
it.
sure he meant this because it's the country game. He spelt hay as in the stuff cows eat, which is pretty cute. And he's put a little note there after the team's been named, just seen the sides or just saw the sides. Ham caught me by surprise, which I guess we touched on.
Yeah, well, the
Unbelievable.
Ham and Guelphy one, I think their pre-season form deserves a go. We need smalls in that forward line
Yes.
because
We're short of small.
we're short of small. So, do you have a sound effects that goes, dum, some sort of...
I haven't actually used any of this, have I?
Yeah.
That's a
we
good
talked
point.
You talked about your sound effects and
Can you say something like controversial or something?
we will win by 100 points.
There you go. I've contributed.
Oh, we
Ooh.
need your work on this.
Ooh, I'm really scared of overusing them.
Oh, I think that wasn't
annoying-
it's not overused at the moment, but push
Annoying
on.
every single person out there.
Mm.
I'm going to use one shortly. Actually, sorry, we should talk about Mr. Reynolds' comment. I don't necessarily disagree with anything there. Won't be able to stop our run. I think we've touched on that. That's a pretty good point. In that because we're young and quick, they're old and slow. They probably wouldn't be able to use Zoom.
I see where you're going with that.
Inside jokes on a public
Yeah.
bloody podcast doesn't work, does
Yeah.
it?
I think he's been a bit optimistic, but
Very.
I don't have a problem with that round one. You've got if you're not thinking your team's okay in round one, then when do you ever think they are? So no, that's fine. I hope all those things come true.
I absolutely do as well.
What do you want to see in this game, Sam? What will be okay for you?
Jeez, I'm the bloody host. You don't throw questions at me.
Oh,
I was okay. I'm gonna go back to it's round one, so I have no idea. I don't want to get blown out of the park. First and foremost, I don't want to get blown out of the park. But
Fair enough. That's a fair point.
I don't. If we lose
Mm.
and we play a good brand of footy that's still good to watch, and we're not just awful and can't take a mark or whatever it was like against St Kilda,
Yeah.
I'll be able to look at Geelong and go, okay, well maybe they're still okay. If we just play shocking and get beaten, then it's all for nothing, and I won't be okay. I just want to see us play good footy. I want just at least a win. A win would be fantastic, but get a bit of control over the game, show off that we can actually be a good side, and I'll be happy.
Yep, no, I agree with all those points. I'm looking for some of personal sort of skills as well. Like I want to see Peter Wright be really aggressive and mark and kick several goals. I'm looking for a big year from him.
Yep, that's fair enough.
Yeah, and I'm also probably, thinking about how some of these young kids go now in their second year, such as Perkins and Cox. I'm very excited about Perkins. How much midfield time he gets. And then I'm also probably on the third factor is probably to see how, if Parrish, the last year he was phenomenal. Like, what did he come? Equal fifth in the Brownlow.
Equal fifth, yep.
Equal fifth. I want to know or want to see this year if that wasn't just a fluke, if that was a step, in becoming one of the elite midfielders in the competition. Yep. And what I want to see is another 30-plus game, maybe a goal or two, and, really set himself up for a big year. I'll be really pumped by those sort of things. I think that they're the sort of things I agree with. I want us to play well, but I'll be looking at some individuals as well.
Very good. Very good summary. Yep. Now, one more little minor thing we need to talk about. I'm going to get some excitement building here with some air horns. That lingered. It was most really fun I've had in months. Now, we broke the news. Oh, probably don't want to pretend to be a journalist because we'll have Bebo knocking on our door.
Shouted out by coaches.
We told you a couple of weeks ago, can't remember when, that we have a giveaway.
Yep.
And I'm here to tell you right now what that giveaway is. Now, I believe I may have sold it as a must-have for the man cave, or the woman cave, the cave, we'll call it, for the sake of...
Yeah, that's going well so far. Yep.
Equality. Hang on, let me get the air horns back. It is. I wish I had a drum roll. Oh, well, too late. A signed.
Look at that next year.
A signed match football.
From?
Yeah, boy.
No, that was a long boy. Jeebus.
From
the Essendon Football Club. It'd be a bit weird if it was signed by Geelong players.
Well, I'm just saying that's specifics.
Essendon match football. So it's got the Yakult logo on it, the gold Essendon logo, the ones you see at the games, signed by the full list, and it is yours to win.
I can confirm I have touched this ball. Sam, no, hang on.
Yeah,
let's
try again.
Sam's, no, that's not going to work either. The football is real.
I had a sound effect all lined up for that. You could have gone. So signed footy, very, very, very appreciative of the club. I sent them an email and just said, hey, we do this. Have you got a giveaway? Have you got something for us that we can give away? And they sent me a bloody signed football. The football itself's worth over $200 plus, priceless sort of signature. I can hear you asking, how? Well, tell us. How do we win this bloody thing? It's very easy. It's very easy to enter. All we want to see is a little subscription on our YouTube channel. I will tell you what that YouTube channel is called because I have closed it and I forget. It is called the Glory and Fame Don Pod. I couldn't remember if we put Glory and Fame in it or not. The Glory and Don Fom... Bloody hell. There we go.
Sound effect for that?
Yeah, I did. I was going to start that one again, hey. The Glory and Fame Don Pod on YouTube. And if you want to go and drop us a like on Facebook, it's just called Glory and Fame. I'm sure that won't hurt your chances. We want to see us get up to 150, 200 subscribers, currently sitting at 85. Get around that. Give this video a like if you're here as well. Let's see 50 likes on the video. Why not? And you can win yourself a signed footy. We will probably give it away after our first win. So if that's this week, then we'll give it away in the review. If not, whenever that first win comes about, we'll give that away.
Yep. Awesome. Get
And
on
now-
board, people.
The sound effect I wanted to use before.
That was better.
Yeah,
That's a good one, Sammy.
thank you. I'm really hoping these are coming across. Otherwise, it's just silence and then you laughing. That'd be pretty awkward, wouldn't it?
Really, brilliant. All right, let's wrap it up.
We'll wrap it up. The footy's on. Nathan wants to watch the Tigers and the Blues.
Have you been drinking this afternoon?
Oh, and, we've been talking about so many different teams. I'm just a bit,
Fair enough.
off with it. All right.
Footy overload.
Summary. Subscribe.
Yep.
Like the video.
Yep.
To win the football. Get in the comments. We like talking to you.
Yep.
Entertains us.
Yeah, we want some feedback. We want to hear what you want to talk about, because otherwise we'll just keep talking about things we like talking about. And if that's all you want, then we'll just keep talking.
Yeah. Lack of argument means we think we're right, and we'll keep doing the same thing.
Wow, we do think that already, Sam.
We do. And so Monday night we'll have the post-match sort of chat done and out to you lot. Again, just make sure you get there and subscribe to the YouTube channel, and we'll chat to you next week. Go Dons.
No worries. See you, everyone. Have a good Go Bombers.